Welcome to this week's episode of the Jesse T Show. This week we're excited to have Mr. Phil Thiel. Welcome to the show. Great to see you. Doing well yourself?
Yeah, good man, good.
Good. So we want to just find out more about you and what you're doing and just a little bit about your backstory.
Oh yeah, man. So backstory, I played rugby for the U.S. rugby team and played professionally and internationally for the last 10 years off and on. Went to school at Life University and played rugby there. So my career was kind of, I guess, playing rugby for about 10 years. And unfortunately, when you're playing rugby for the U.S. team until now that they've instituted some pro leagues, it's not exactly a massive financial boon for a person. So it was a lot of travel, sacrifice, that kind of stuff. Totally worth it. Great time. Awesome. Really supported by my wife and my family and everything. But now, transferring, trying to use some of the school that I went. Went to school for quite a long time. Went for 7 years. A lot of people go to school for 7 years. They're called doctors. I'm not a doctor. I'm a rugby player. Doctor of rugby. Male practice suits all the time. Sure. But no. So now what I've gotten into is web development, design, application building, that kind of stuff, and just kind of finding my way through that as I'm more self-taught in that. I didn't go to school for that directly, but kind of fell in love with it. Working for a company when I finished playing rugby and retired, and just went out on my own a few years ago and have been doing that for a couple years now.
That's awesome. So how was that transition when you were playing rugby for 10 plus years? It was, we wanted it to be a living, and then you had to segue into entrepreneurial land. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, it was interesting because it's kind of a double-edged sword, without being cliche, is you get a lot of discipline when you're playing sports. I'm sure, coming from the military and stuff, there's some crossover there with yourself, have an idea with that. But the other side of it is that everything's very regimented. So you have somebody telling you what to do. You have set goals. You have these ideas of what you have to get to. Every little step is laid out. Yeah. And then when you get into entrepreneurial life, none of the steps are laid out. So there's just this empty blueprint that you have to make for yourself. And sometimes that's been a little bit of a challenge, probably my biggest challenge. That and time management, just with that kind of coming along with it.
Sure. So what are some of the things that are helping you with this transition, with getting into business? Are you using any kind of, do you have any help? Is it a one-person operation?
It's one-person operation. I use some contractors sometimes. I've done some work with different people, but they're not keeping me accountable. That's mostly just learning from people that have done it before. Sure. You know what I mean? I read a lot of Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk, the normal people that everybody reads when they get into entrepreneurial life and fall in love with. But just kind of seeing what other people have done, some different, little tricks that they've kind of worked with to get over those little humps that they have sometimes.
Yeah, I've definitely been a fan of Gary Vee and Simon Sinek and Tim Ferriss. And a lot of their thoughts are very practical and down to earth. And so what are some of your takeaways from either Grant Cardone or Gary Vee that you've been able to apply that have been successful?
Yeah, some of the ones that have been successful is just get up and do it. You know what I mean? Grant Cardone's a big one with that, is get it done, get it out. Mm-hmm. Gary Vaynerchuk's big, Gary Vee's big with that. Get it done, get it out, and then perfect it later. Because with sports, you're doing that. You're in a constant progress of trying to be the best you can be. Sure. There's no it has to be perfect before I get out on the field, because you're on the field. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or you're on the court if different sports and stuff. But you're there. There's working towards it, seeing how good you did, how bad you did. Some games aren't great, and then working from there again and continuing to build. And one thing I ran into, especially with the design and application kind of stuff, was I want it to be perfect. And if you do that, it's never going to get to market. Yeah, it's never going to get to market, and you're just going to go broke and not be able to build it anyway. So why would you even be doing that?
What are some of the parallels that you've drawn? Being a high-level athlete and then now starting a couple different businesses and growing companies. I mean, what are some things that have been helpful in doing that?
Helpful in doing that is a lot. There's a lot of tools out there, right? With web development, software, that kind of stuff, finding a good tool to work with, whether it's your content management system or customer relationship management, some marketing automation, because those are things I went to school for, was business and marketing and psychology. So you'd think, oh yeah, I have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing here, but then you're in the real world from there, and starting a little bit later than a lot of your contemporaries or your peers, because I played rugby till I was 30. I retired once in there, but I only worked for about 2 years before I went back into rugby again. And I'm starting 8 years later than a lot of people. You got people that are 24, 25 years old with an extra year of experience on me, and I'm 30. I'm 33 now, so I've caught up a little bit. But that's one of those things, just finding the good tools that you can work with that can really boost you. And then, honestly, I click on all the marketing documents I get. If I'm on, whether I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, I click on everything. I download. I have this folder full of stuff that's hey, social media marketing for experts, and sometimes it's terrible,
Yep.
and sometimes it's great coming from a company that's what they do.
Sure.
And you learn a lot from that, just seeing little bits out of everything.
Yeah. So jumping, kind of thinking about both rugby at a high level and business, entrepreneurial, just kind of getting businesses off the ground. What have been some of the bigger struggles for either one? Like playing rugby at a high level, or even building a business. What are some of the?
Sometimes just honestly, it sounds terrible, but just drive and motivation.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like with sports, again, everything, you had this set goal, whether it was the start of camp, or whether it was, okay, I want to get this contract, or, we're trying to do this, or whatever it is. I just want to get better at something. Maybe working on an individual skill, you can work on that constantly and just do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So you're always driven and motivated because you can see the target. I was what's called a hooker in rugby, so I would throw the ball into what's called a lineout, where guys would jump and they'd catch the ball.
Sure.
I think of like a tip-off in basketball with all the people lifting up. So I could throw at a target all day long, and I could record how many times I hit the target versus how many times I didn't.
Right.
Well, with business, as you know, sometimes the recording is A, you don't do it,
Right.
and B, it's more of like it's a little bit broader.
Sure.
It's like, I want to make X dollars, or I want to do this. I want to get 15 new leads, whatever it is.
Sure.
You're working towards those things, but there's not as direct of a process.
Yeah, so it's harder when the goal isn't as clearly defined, because it's such a creative venture, being an entrepreneur and really carving your own path.
Yeah.
The freedom of it is exciting, and the possibilities, but at the same time, it can be kind of scary.
Definitely.
Because in sports, you have to do certain things to get to certain places. This is completely up to you.
Yeah.
So
it goes from laser focus to like just, like that, focus wise, and then you have to find your own focus.
Have you ever had a time in either rugby or being a business owner where you felt like you just were done and you were going to quit, but then something changed, something happened where you bucked up, or you learned, or someone helped you?
Like every day with rugby. Right? No, I did retire from rugby. I had some injuries and stuff. I had some neck injuries, some nerve stuff, which was through chiropractic and some other things. I was able to get that fixed after I retired. Because I retired the first time I was 27,
wow.
Which for American rugby isn't actually that old, because there wasn't those professional structures in place.
Sure.
So guys would play, do something, do a World Cup, do whatever it is, and then retire and go out into the world and do their thing. The second time I came back, financially, it was actually some issues, just with, I was working, doing things, but it was never exactly clicking correctly. So there was that on top of it, where I'm going, man, I'm at camp, and I got, my wife's at home with our daughter, and we've got like $9 in our bank account. You know what I mean? And she's like, hey, I'm bringing in money. I got money coming in next week. And I'm going, well, I get paid at the end of tour, and we get paid reasonable, is fair for what we were as a market draw.
Sure.
But I'm going, that's in a month and a half.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
right.
So I had a few times. I actually had our USA coach at the time, Mike Tolkien. I don't know if he ever told me not to tell anybody this. He loaned me some money that I paid back most of, and haven't paid back all of it yet. But like, he helped me out. You know what I mean? When I was,
awesome.
And you're 28 years old, and you're like, man, I went to school. I got 2 degrees. I've worked before, I've made money before, and I'm sitting here, and you're totally broke, and you're just like, man, I don't know if this is worth it.
It's a pinnacle moment where you get to decide if this is something you can continue with.
And it was. He helped me with the financial side of it. We talked about it. I had some other people give me a hand with some financial stuff. I found some more work in between and everything like that, and was able to. Luckily, I worked with a company. It's called Somax. They were great. They make software. They make maintenance management software, and they basically said, okay, we'll keep paying you while you're on tour. We're just going to pull your salary back some, because you're not able to work that much, and that helped a lot too. But being able to do those things and having my wife, Melissa, at home being really supportive of it was huge.
That is huge. And we talk about Grant Cardone, Gary Vee. It's important to have backup from those that you care about. It's important to have help, but at the end of the day, you got to stay true to your vision, because that's what's going to make you happy, and that's how you can produce the best thing you're going to produce.
For sure.
So now, today, in today's land of being a business owner, entrepreneur, founder, creator, all things to everybody, what are some of the things that are the bigger challenges today?
Bigger challenges is always anybody finding new clients. It's interesting for me, because I read a lot of people that are great, and I'm pretty aggressive with most stuff, but finding new people all the time, because it's that, my wife's been a business owner longer than I have, and Melissa, and she's an absolute hustler. She grinds, she's just ridiculous. She grinds like Tony Hawk on a rail. It's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah. And so to see her do that kind of stuff, and I'm out there and I'm finding people, getting people, doing people, it picks up, it goes down, and the ebbs and flows of business.
Sure.
And I'm just looking at her, and I'm like, okay, if she can grind like this, I can grind. If I can grind half of what she's doing, you know what I mean? Then I'm going to be really successful. But just always finding new people, sometimes is a little bit of a motivational challenge, because you're sitting there and you're like, man, Like, oh, have we got a new person this week? Have we got 2 new people? Have we got 5 new people? And if you're on a week, where you're like, I haven't got any new people this week. You've been doing the work, trying to transition from that technician into an entrepreneur. You're sitting there and you're just like, I don't have anybody new this week, but I also have 80 hours of work ahead of me this week to get done what people paid for me to do last week, because you want to do great for your customers. You want to be really happy, right? And you're just sitting there going, okay, well, if I've got 80 hours of work ahead of me, I still got a few hours left in the week. Okay, let's try to get 1 person this week and just keep that momentum going.
It's a balancing act, and I think that in anything you do in life, especially being an independent business owner, you gotta go where the revenue is, but you also have to keep your clients happy. So the good news is you have clients that are paying you and you have billable hours, but now it's coming to getting more clients while servicing them at a high level. So what are some things you're looking at in that regard of high level service, acquisition of new clients? What are some tools or things you're using?
People, in all honesty.
Leveraging people?
Yeah, leveraging people. I want to get to the point with the development and all that kind of stuff, because I'm still pretty new in the business. I've been about a year, but it's been kind of off and on. I owned a studio. I owned a fitness studio for like 8 months and got rid of that at the beginning of the year. It was just taking up too much time, and I wasn't leveraging people correctly for that. And so that really taught me a lot of lessons.
What kind of studio was it?
It was a fitness studio, so we did like HIIT training, like the interval training and stuff. We did people did a lot of burpees in the studio. It wasn't that big. We had weights in there. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed it. But I started that as wanting to be a gym owner, and I ended up doing a lot of training and working with people. And so leveraging yourself out of that taught me a big lesson of, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to own these businesses that I'm running. I don't want to be stuck working in the business all the time. I want to be able to, the cliche, I want to work on the business, not in it all the time. So I love the sales process, working with people, designing, marketing, helping the people that are working for me succeed, and not doing the work necessarily. So for me, for app development, web development, it'll be finding a team that I can work with. I've worked with some people before and they've done a great job, but really having a team under me would be the biggest goal right now.
Kind of help you where you can leverage your strengths the best. And maybe, like Gary Vee always says, punt your weaknesses and hire to your strengths. Like, Josh is our tech and our creative for what we're doing for the JCT show. I could never be that good without years of training, so I just bring in a partner and he can help me make this thing unbelievable.
It's like they say, the plumber, you don't pay the plumber to fix the pipe, turn the wrench. You pay him to know where to turn or bang.
To know what the answer is. You kept on talking about this, kept coming out. I kept hearing you say the technician, the entrepreneur, and so are you familiar with the E-Myth? The book? So for me, in my business, it's been really imperative, because a lot of times I'll get bogged down and I'll get stuck in the weeds, and sometimes you have to step back and let the business kind of do its own thing, and you run the business. And so not being the bottleneck in the business and not being weighed down to where you can't drive the business, and so just kind of, it's a learning process.
The worst thing is to be your own bottleneck in a business, right? Because it's happening, right? Because you're the business owner, so you know that you're the bottleneck at that point, and you just can't get out of your own way to remove that sometimes. Or maybe you're caught in a project that you took on, or whatever it is, and you just got to, like you said, pull that out of there. The E-Myth is actually, that's where I got the technician versus the entrepreneur from.
So what are you working on today? Like what is it that you're building or you're doing with your company? And
so right now, trying to build, actually, in all honesty, rebuild some of our websites and things like that, which is interesting, because you build websites or you build what you do, but then you get on your own thing and you're like, I'm sitting there going, man, I need to hire somebody to build my site. You know what I mean? Because we've pulled back on that, and I'm rebuilding everything into a couple of new different processes of matching some of the way the market's going with web development. It's not, $20,000 for a website anymore, unless maybe you're a huge company and you've got a lot going on, of course. But most people want a subscription base. They want this. They want automation. They want to use some of the newest tools, as opposed to just somebody sitting there typing on a keyboard. They want to be able to click in a few things and bang, the website pops up, and they can choose whether they like it or not, that kind of thing. So you got to stay with the market. Same with apps, that kind of stuff. But right now, working on our own stuff, just trying to put our message correctly as I've been building it for the last couple of months, just piecing together, the changeover that we're going in, so that I'm not sitting there working on stuff, so that it's more automated for people.
That makes sense. So you talked about message and branding and maybe your why. What's the mission of the company, the why of you as a human? Like, what are you trying to put out into the world?
And I want people to be able to market themselves easily and inexpensively, so that their business can get off the ground. I mean, that's at the end of the day, when you're building websites for somebody. I mean, whether that's as a consultant, I do consulting with marketing and stuff like that too, branding, that kind of stuff. I have a couple of clients right now that we're working on that. I want people to have an awesome business presence whether they're competing with other people, they're working with other people. I want them to be in the best position to where they can succeed. You know what I mean? And then I'm really happy there too, whether that's with an application where they're able to run a process more efficiently, or whether that's with their website, or whether that's with, you know, their marketing, anything like that. We've got a couple different divisions of our small little company, and those are working towards those different goals.
So being a consultant, it sounds like you kind of have a coach's mentality where you want to help educate your clients and then watch them kind of go unleash out to the world and be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be successful, right? Yep. And so if I'm successful, if they're successful and I'm successful, then everybody's happy. You know what I mean? I don't want to be one of those people that's like, oh man, I made, you know, $1 million this year and I didn't help anybody. You know what I mean? I didn't do anything. Sure, there's people that are out there that do that, and that's okay. You know what I mean? That's fine. If your thing doesn't necessarily help somebody, but you're really happy with it, whatever, no big deal. But I want to be able to help other people be successful and do their thing.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
It's a great way to leave the world a better place.
Right.
So in terms of 1 year goal for business or personal, anything fun coming up throughout the year, anything you want to try to achieve?
So healthy second baby. We got at the end of August. Yeah, thanks. At the end of August, my wife's due.
Do we know if it's boy or girl? Okay.
Yeah, girl. Nice. Elia Ann. So we're pretty stoked. Big sister Mila, who's our daughter, is really excited. She'll be almost 8. She's like super stoked.
That's awesome.
But that's a personal one, is just to add a new member to our family and keep the love, because you don't think like you can love another person, like you're like, oh my god, then you love one person more than anything. It's like, okay, how can I love a second person more than anything at the same time? So personal, just to try to keep being the best dad that I can be when it comes to that, and work through that. But professionally, it would just be the app release. I want the first app coming out of the company to be out January 1st.
Okay, that's your target date?
That's the target date, is January 1st.
What does that app look like?
So that app is a modern take on maintenance. The company I used to work for is going to be pissed if they read this. If they hear this, I can say pissed, right? They're going to be pissed if they see this. It's kind of a maintenance management software. It's something that I know. I had a non-compete for a couple years with them. They were awesome. They treated me really well when I was there. But I learned a lot, and you might as well. I'm not going to make a rugby app, right? It's not something that's, I did some commentary and stuff like that, and I'd actually like to work with some more people doing that, just in case anybody is out there. The rugby channels.
You heard it.
My commentary is pretty good, but cheesy but good. But yeah, no, it's a maintenance management software. It's a little bit different take though. It wouldn't be directly competing with them, but it'd basically be for companies that run maintenance. It streamlines their processes, helps with sanitation, helps keep their facilities clean, working in order, and that kind of stuff. So
and then projecting out the end goal, the end game. Not that it'll ever be finished. As
an
entrepreneur, there's something else, a new venture. But what do you envision if you could call your shot and have it the way you wanted to? What would the 20, 30-year vision be?
Oh man, it would be a huge digital agency, running all sorts of different projects, from, like I said, helping people be able to click here and have their own applications pop up. I actually there's a few different tools that, you get inspiration from everything. There's a few companies that are doing a really awesome job right now where you can build your own stuff, for lack of a better word, and it's actually good. Website builders, app builders, they've been so clunky for such a long time, and those companies have worked really hard on it. It's just the technology hasn't been there to where I can go click, 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 and all of a sudden I've got this awesome thing. I want to have that not only for websites, web development, marketing development, social media, all that stuff. Those things exist, don't get me wrong, but change them a little bit to some more of the modern, some more modern designs and stuff, and make it a little easier. Then also be able to do that with apps, where there's a lot of tools right now where you say, hey, build your own app in 5 minutes. Awesome, but they're very simple, a little bit limited. Those people are working really hard to make it better. I want to make it even better than that.
Gotcha.
Where I can go click, 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 and all of a sudden I've got this awesome enterprise application that I can go sell if I want, or just use for my own business.
Yep. That's awesome. So this is the portion of the show where we're going to jump into some rapid fires to get to know a little bit more about you and kind of things that you're into. So first one, favorite restaurant and or food?
Oh, shoot. Food.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Does food. Can food be my favorite food? No, probably, in all honesty, I love sushi. I've been to Japan a couple times. I got to eat sushi in Japan. But
what's the difference of sushi in Japan versus the U.S.?
I mean, it was crazy. We went to this place. I'll give a little name drop. This guy, Todd Clever. Todd, if you're listening, I'll give you a name drop. He played in Japan for a long time. He was a USA rugby player, captain of the USA team. Great guy, awesome dude. And he took us to his place in Japan where he would go all the time, and it was like his dude that he knew. It was like the fish it just fell apart. You know what I mean? It was crazy. Amazing. Yeah, but I love sushi, and there's a place actually, Sushi Village on Cobb kind of by Windy Hill.
Yeah.
area is really good. It's all you can eat. They do a great for an all you can eat place for under $20. They actually do an awesome job.
That's
Them
awesome.
and Maru Sushi for lunch is also really good. Those are probably my two favorites.
What about the craziest thing you ever did? And you mentioned about sober, not sober.
Craziest thing, yeah. We'll stick to craziest thing. Not drinking. I don't want to say sober. Some people think I'm like alcoholic. Like not there's anything wrong with that. If you're recovering, fantastic. But I'm not an alcoholic. But craziest thing sober. I don't know. Not really crazy. I used to love to travel when I would go on tour. So when I was in Japan, I just took our per diem that we had for the day and bought a ticket on the Shinkansen, which is a bullet train, and went up to Nagano where the Olympics were.
That's
I got
awesome.
to see it's like the largest wooden Buddhist temple in Japan.
Okay.
There's bigger Buddhist temples. It was the largest wooden one, and there's awesome.
Were there monks actually living there?
There was a couple, yeah. There was only a couple that were still there. I think it's more touristy now, but there were
Sure.
still people going down and doing their thing and
That's cool, man.
meditating and stuff. I didn't get a chance to go down into that area. It was closed off, but there was like awesome statues, the whole just super, when you think of, as an American, if you think of a Buddhist temple in Japan, you know what I mean, kind of give it that, that's kind of what it was. I don't know how crazy it was just awesome.
Most people would never get to do something like that.
It was just really cool. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
The bullet train, that sounds like it's fast, right?
It was pretty fast, yeah. It goes really fast. It's like almost 200 miles per hour, 200 miles per hour, something like that.
Could you feel it?
No, you can't feel it at all. When you bank up on the turns, you can tell then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As you bank, but it was just really cool. It was crazy just to be over there, and I've been in a lot of different countries, luckily enough. But that was one of my favorite countries because I got to go do that by myself.
That's incredible.
And take a whole day.
It's a big trip.
Yeah.
And so for self improvement or just enlightenment or just happiness or just kind of putting yourself out of the frame of mind of business, what in your business, you could be in business, what are you reading, listening to? What are you into?
Mind hacking.
Mind hacking.
Sir Jonathan Hargrave, I want to get his name right, but
Okay.
I was listening to a lot of stuff before. I'm actually listening to that right now. I read the Song of Ice and Fire series, the Game of Thrones stuff from TV, Song of Ice and Fire series, my geek side.
Okay.
Read a lot of wikis. I don't know if that makes me even more geek. I don't know which way I'm going with this.
Yeah.
But his book, Mind Hacking, is awesome because I love coding and stuff. It was something that I found later on that I never thought that I would find, that I would enjoy. I found that like in my late 20s and even almost early 30s. And he looks at self-improvement as almost coding your mind. So you have loops that are either negative or positive, and it actually helped me evaluate and find some of my negative loops and go, okay, how can we tinker around with these in your brain to fix them? And they're just different takes on stuff that, a lot of different improvement books talk about, goal setting, that kind of thing. But it's very specific how he does it, and I actually really like it. It works a lot for me.
I read recently that if you continually try to learn and or do specific tasks, and it sounds like mind hacking has some of those things where you can rewire your brain, literally change pathways and how you believe things.
With Melissa, she owns, Be Wellness Center in Marietta, and she does neurofeedback therapy, and they work on the basis of, obviously, behavioral, cognitive behavioral therapy as behaviorism, operant conditioning, but the idea of neuroplasticity, which is that you can rewire your brain. Like if you have more, links from, the areas of your brain that control aggression to the areas of your brain, like your prefrontal cortex and stuff, you're going to be more aggressive. You're going to be angry. You're going to be frustrated more easily. If you have more going the other way, you've got that control.
You can deal with it.
So you can actually build more, your links. I guess.
And have you found that you reading mind hacking and getting into the ideology of it all and putting it into practice, has it worked for you?
Yeah, it actually has. I actually found, interestingly enough, that sometimes when I do my goal stuff, when I fall off a little bit, things don't go as well. Sure. You know what I mean? And he talks about, one of the funny examples he has, I guess interesting example in the book is, you say you start walking 5 minutes to work, you park at the back and you walk in. Well, that turns into you walking with a friend and then walking around the parking lot, and then you start to collaborate with them. Then you go to the gym, then you meet someone at the gym, and then something happens and you get promoted, and then those people that you've been working with, now they're working with you. So you got all this extra energy, so you're doing all this extra work, and then all of a sudden you realize that your business isn't doing a process as well as they could, so you go out on your own, and then, bang, and it just keeps snowballing to basically where you're curing, all world diseases and stuff. And it's from walking 5 minutes. So it's the little goals I've had to look at, and his book has helped me, Mind Hacking has helped me so much, look at the little goals, how they build to the big, because that was such a thing with sports that I've missed, is finding all those little goals, you know what I mean? Finding those little steps. Because sometimes when you're in business, in sports, you think, okay, the goal is the game. You don't really even think about the little steps to practice to that. You just do it, you know. So when you're sitting here, okay, I want to have a $100 million company, all you see is you at a $100 million company. You know what I mean? How do you get there? So you got to find those things. So that's been helpful.
Instead of trying to always hit a home run, singles, doubles, triples, like baby
steps, strikeouts, right? Strikeouts. I mean,
failures.
A 10 pitch count against a good pitcher. I mean, that's a win in baseball, right? If you're hitting 225 and you go up against Justin Verlander and you go 12 pitches on him and you fly out at the end of the 12 pitches, well, you just put him through 12 pitches.
You've learned something. You've done something.
Yeah, and you've helped your team.
What about a time where you learned from a client or a past mistake that's changed the way that you do business or operate?
Oh man, over-promising. You know what I mean? I know that Grant Cardone and everybody, some of those guys talk about over-promise and over-deliver, right?
Gotcha.
At the beginning, you want to go. Sometimes though, if you think, okay, I can do this, you need to take a step back and realize, okay, what are my limitations right now, and how can I work within those to make sure this works, as opposed to saying, okay, I'm going to promise what I could do in X amount of time, and I'm going to do it in X minus 20 months, amount of time. And so you end up killing yourself, which is fine as long as you have a really happy customer. They might refer you later on. They might do some more work with you. That's awesome. But you just have to be, I hate to use the word careful because you don't want to be careful. You want to go after it. But you have to be honest with yourself. And being honest with yourself, be self-aware. Sometimes, being honest with yourself is, I'm a total badass. I'm going to rock this out, whatever it is, no matter whatever your business is. And sometimes being honest with yourself is like, man, I got 80 hours worth of work this week to do. I really want to squeeze these people in. Okay, I'm going to put them back 2 weeks. It's okay. If they go to somebody else within those 2 weeks, but if they stay with me, they're going to get an awesome job in 2 weeks, as opposed to something where I'm going to be rushing to get it done now.
That's right. It's kind of just knowing where your skill is, knowing what you can deliver on, and being confident in those steps to get there. And the last one I have here is, so hobby or passion project?
Right now, furniture. Right? I'm trying to do. I actually like building furniture, and my dad and I. But it's kind of fun because it's my dad and I. So that's cool. We built a desk, and we got to build a dog crate table, and we've got to build. I'm going to build an ottoman for our living room, a new ottoman and stuff. And my wife's going, "You're never going to do it." I'm going to do it. I promise. I'll do it. But right now, honestly, furniture. It's a weird little passion project. It's cool because you get to see something completed. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. Sometimes we operate so much in the ether. You know what I mean? That you don't always get to see what you do. Yep. And with these things, I get to look at it. I'm like, man, I made that. And it's really cool. You know what I mean? It might not be perfect, but it's really cool. And I got to spend time, with my dad and stuff, which is awesome.
That's awesome. So was that something that you've been doing for a long time, or just kind of?
No, we just started. We just started not even that long ago. We built a couple little things. I got to build some dollhouse furniture for my daughter, which is gonna be pretty cool. That's and then, like I said, I got to build those other things. I want to get more into doing that because he's a master, contractor, and what for forever was, and is awesome at building pretty much anything, even if he doesn't always think he is. He's incredible. And then with some of the other design stuff, my mom's like this incredible organizer and interior person, all these things, so we can do these. She comes in and she'll be like, why you guys build that like that? And I'm like, what do you mean? Because of X, Y, and Z. And she's like, stupid. Why are you doing that?
So she's doing this.
So then we build it better. But.
So are you in the process of accumulating more tools, and what's the next thing you're excited about?
For that. See, the funny thing with that is as soon as we built the first couple of things, my wife was like, sell those. And I was like, no, we're not selling anything. These are for us. And then I told them, I said, hey, I need to build this dog crate table, and these things go like a buffet table, but we have 3 dogs, so our dog crate, it's not fun for them because it's a big crate, but they're still kind of squished in there. So we want this long, huge one. Those things go for $2,000, $2,500 if you're on Etsy or whatever. Yep. I can build it for $80 to $100, no joke.
And even if you build in some margin, you're still selling it at a huge discount.
Sell it at a huge discount if you wanted to. So that's the first thing I said to my dad. Was like, can we just enjoy doing this? And I was like, no, we need to sell these. Yeah. So at some point, you will probably see somewhere online some things that I've been building
by Phil Thiel.
Hopefully they'll be pretty good. They'll be strong. I can tell you that. It might not be that pretty, but they'll be really sturdy.
It sounds like you got a lot going on. So as far as just to sum it all up, if you could, and sometimes this is hard, but if you can, if you could be remembered for one thing, or if you could have a legacy in 2 or 3 sentences that you can leave behind in the world, what would that sound like or be?
Oh man, yeah, honestly, just being a good, kind person, not necessarily nice, but being a good, kind person that helped people along the way and did the absolute best that I could. Yep. We're always going to have regrets. I have regrets. Everybody has regrets in life. Anybody that says, oh, no, have no regrets, is like, okay, well, all right. But be a good, kind person that leaves the world in a place where whatever I did helped whoever I could.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
That's awesome. And this is your time. So if you have anything you want to talk about, anything you want to plug, anything going on with the business or your life, you want to share it with the world, go for it.
Man, yeah. So just if anybody needs, I mean, essentially we're growing into a larger digital agency. So whether it's consulting for marketing, branding, web development, anything like that, whether we can pull in bigger teams, if you're just somebody that's trying to do something, or you're sitting there looking at your marketing or whatever it is and you don't have what you want, you can get a hold of us. The best is probably Philip at alphawaveservices.com, which is the consulting side of the company, or Philip at GHEMO.com, which is more the automation and in the less expensive side of what we're doing. So it's Philip at GEMO.com or Philip at alphawaveservices.com, and just check us out. Sometimes you'll see some things. We're a work in progress too. So some of the businesses, you'll be like, man, what's going on here? This guy's Facebook thing just started 3 days ago. This Twitter with this new account just started this, and that's what we're always doing, and we can help people do that as well. So
anywhere on Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, Instagram. So Instagram probably be the best. We're either at AlphaWave Services or at GHEMO. And then also I started one other passion project. If you jump back to that, is a rugby blog. And I've been trying to get that going to change some of the face of American rugby and how it's reported. Because a lot of people think that it's still just a bunch of guys drinking beer, running around, punching each other, and it's not. So trying to bring a professional report. That's Rugby Rap, RUGBYRAP.com. They used to make me rap my stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you got a rap you want to throw down?
No. No. Maybe we will do it off camera. I mean, shoot.
Maybe in the B-roll.
Dude, we'll put that in the B-roll. But no, I'll put something down for you. Just, I mean, if I was on the Jesse T show with my man, he's the man, and coming here trying to do it real big, get on that camera. Man, I don't even know.
Good job, man. Well, Philip, it's been great having you on the show. Dude. He's Phil Thiel. I'm Jesse Tedesco. You can find him at everything he mentioned. We're going to have it in the end of the show notes, at the end of the credits. So please reach out to Phil Thiel. Thanks so much. This has been the Jesse Tedesco Show.